Stephen King's On Writing and Memoir of the Craft. I picked this book up solely to sharpen my writing skills. I really was not that interested in the autobiographical information of Stephen King. And I know that sounds ugly, but I felt like me as a novice rom-com writer would have very little common ground with the king of horror. But that's before I realized how human Mr. Stephen King really is. And I just loved the raw honesty of all of it. So there's lots of instances in his book where he encounters like horrors in real life and he uses it for inspiration in his books. And it's really cool. I'm not a horror fan, but I still got the references. He talks about when he was a kid, how a teacher made him feel ashamed of his work and told him that he shouldn't be writing that trash, and how that shame stuck with him for years. He also talked about being a teacher, which I didn't know he was one. And what really resonated with me as a former teacher was the fact that he loved the kids, but he said that teaching made him feel like he'd spent a week with jumper cables clamped to his brain. And so he had a really hard time writing as a teacher because he was just so mentally exhausted. And I felt that in my bones. I was surprised in the tenderness and the way he describes the relationship with his wife. And he also talked about how he wrote Carrie, then threw it in the trash. His wife found it, pulled it out, read it, and was like, "You're not giving up on this. You've really got something here." And that was his like breakthrough. That was how he was discovered. But of course, before he was discovered, just like majority of authors out there, he faced rejection after rejection, or he sold stories for pennies. And then right before getting to the craft stuff, right where I'm at, he talks about how precious writing is. And he said, "We're not in the same year together, let alone the same room, except we are together. We're close." And it's like, we all know how reading and writing works, but I feel like, at least for me, I take it for granted all the time of how precious it really is. I want to read just a little part of this to you. He said, "Let me say it again. You must not come lightly to the blank page. I'm not asking you to come reverently or unquestioningly. I'm not asking you to be politically correct or cast aside your sense of humor. Please, God, you have one. This isn't a popularity contest. It's not the moral Olympics, and it's not church. But it's writing, damn it. Not washing the car or putting on your eyeliner. If you can take it seriously, we can do business. If you can't or won't, it's time for you to close the book and do something else. Wash the car, maybe." Hardcore. This book is hardcore.